Good evening. For those of you who've just joined us after closed session, welcome to this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'm Laura Simon, Board President, and I would like to introduce my fellow trustees, Lisa Pelosi, Sean Mora, Jeannie Kerr, and Jean Marie Wolfe, and our Student Board Representative, Andy Martinez. I would also like to introduce our district staff, Superintendent Dr. Jody McClay, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Christopher Heller, Chief Business Official Dr. Kay Vang, Executive Assistant to the Assistant Superintendent Ms. Melissa Hansen, and Napa TV Nicole Marino. Additional staff members are joining us in the audience. Director of Educational Services Mrs. Araceli Romo Flores, Director of Facilities and Maintenance Mr. Mike Flores, St. Helena High School Principal Mr. Ben Cinto, RLS Middle School Principal Mr. Andrew Ryan, St. Helena Elementary School Principal Mrs. Kathy O'Connor, and St. Helena Primary School Principal Mrs. Rebecca Rocha. We are delighted that you are viewing in person on television channel 27 or on our YouTube channel. A copy of the board meeting video will also be available on our website at www.sthelenaunified.org. In connection with items 4A and 4B, the board received information and provided staff with direction. In connection with items 4C, the board conducted the superintendent's progress report. We have a few other items that we are going to either remove or change this evening. I'd like to turn to Dr. McClay for those.
Sure. Earlier at the approval of the agenda discussion, it was recommended by staff that we're going to pull item 10C, the Memorandum of Understanding with the City of St. Helena. We'd like to be sure that that gets approved by the city before it comes back to the board for consideration. We suggested and the board agreed to move item 11, which is the Ed Specs presentation. We have some consultants coming in for that, so we're going to move that to right after public comment. And then in 13G, contracts under $25,000, staff is pulling project Lead the Way. So when we get to the consent calendar, when we get to 13G, we will remove that item. Okay.
Wonderful. And another change is we will have all of our incredible presentations, and then we will have open comment this evening. Thank you. Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to head into presentations with 6A, presentation of the spring musical Little Shop of Horrors. I'd like to call on Ms. Coyle and the drama students.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us this evening. Good evening, everyone. As you can see, you've invited us on our final dress rehearsal night. What a smart thing to do. Drama people love to talk, so we will keep this brief because we have a very important rehearsal with the orchestra heading over to the PAC. But thank you so much for having us. We do open tomorrow, and after 31 shows, I decided it was time for a revival. So this is my very first revival here at St. Helena High School. Tomorrow night, I'm pleased to say that Hannah Michael, an original cast member from Little Shop of Horrors, will be presenting our Gypsy robe, which is our highest award given to a senior. So it's been really fun to see and hear from my alumni from the first production. So these 33 very talented Drama 1 and NVC Theater students have been working on this since the end of October. And if you haven't seen Little Shop of Horrors, it has a fantastic score by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. You may have heard of them from Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. And you will hear some Disney-esque tunes in there. But more than that, it is a very important story about an underdog trying to decide between doing the right thing and ambition and greed. So come and check it out and see us this Friday, Saturday at 7, Sunday at 2, and then the following weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7 and Sunday at 2. Tickets are still available online at the high school website. And yeah, these kids have worked incredibly hard, so give them a round of applause. Thank you. We'll stay here. Yeah, and following my instructions.
Sorry. Okay. And that's it? We're all set?
Yes.
No performance? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to come.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we will move on to 6B. Yeah.
No. She's 6B.
We'd like the cast to
Sorry.
stay, if you're willing, for one more item.
I am sorry, I apologize. 6B, recognition of the St. Helena Unified School District Teacher of the Year 2025. Mr. Heller.
All right, we're going to connect items A and B, and this was the way to get Mrs. Coyle to attend tonight. Excuse me. So I have the honor of introducing Mrs. Coyle, Patty Coyle, as our District Teacher of the Year. Principal Cinto wrote some great comments, and it really highlights the work that she's performed for our district, not only as a drama teacher, but as an employee of the district. So I'm going to read some of his comments. Mrs. Coyle's impact on the drama at the high school and middle school has been visible both on and off stage. Her commitment to student success and high caliber productions was a primary catalyst for the construction of the district's state-of-the-art performing center. Her work has resulted in near Broadway-level performances and a consistent outpouring of community support, both in attendance and financial contribution. Beyond the stage lights, Mrs. Coyle is recognized as a progressive educator who has significantly expanded academic opportunities for her students by partnering with Napa Valley College faculty to offer college-level credit to high school students to earn dual credit, completing additional credentials to develop a career technical education coursework, and facilitating specialized theater class for students with severe disabilities, which set the standard for our current district visual and performing arts wheel. Mr. Cinto remarked on a recent visit to the Napa County Office of Education and seeing past Teacher of the Year recipients on the wall, he thought to himself, "I'm surprised Patty isn't up here yet." Well, we believe that time is now. And congratulate our District Teacher of the Year, Patty Coyle. And to honor you, we got you St. Patty Day flowers.
I got a little cold, so.
Thank you.
You guys, trustees, can you come in the middle? You come in the middle and do a photo real
Yeah.
quick, and then she can go.
They sent out the first wave today. Yeah.
You know I love to do that.
Hey. Sorry. I love it.
It's so perfect that they're all here for the dress rehearsal.
Yeah. Sorry,
can pull some. Sure.
Okay, we are going to move on to item 6C, presentation by the RLS Orchestra, and they're making their way in now. So we'll hear from Mr. Binder whenever he's ready. Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Binder. We are ready for you.
Should we move?
Yeah. Where would you like?
Should we?
We're moving, so just watch my boards over there if they're in.
Good evening, St. Helena Unified School District, Board of Education, Administration, and Community. My name is Brandon Binder, and I have the honor of directing the RLS Orchestra program, in addition to teaching the music classes at the primary and elementary school. This is the second year of the orchestra program in St. Helena Unified. Our program has nearly doubled in enrollment this year. We invite you to attend an exciting night of music on March 18th in the St. Helena Elementary School Theater. The RLS Orchestra will provide musical accompaniment for the 3rd and 4th grade concerts at 5 and 6 p.m. respectively. Following the elementary school concerts, the students will perform a special concert under candlelight at 7 p.m. The music is going to be the centerpiece of our orchestra program. You won't want to miss it. Tonight, we will share 2 excerpts from our candlelight concert. The first is a vibrant Spanish piece called El Toro. We'll follow that with Snow Day, a piece that perfectly captures the pure joy and excitement of a day off in the snow. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to express my deep gratitude for the opportunity to build this program. I feel so fortunate to work with such fantastic administrators and district leaders who truly champion the arts. Your support makes this possible. Our students are so lucky to have leaders that recognize the importance of music education in their lives. Boared?
That's so great.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Got a little comment.
Yeah, a lot.
Hi, Mr. Bam. Alrighty, we're going to move on to 6D, presentation of the St. Helena High School 2025-26 Winter Sports, and I call on Mr. Farrell.
It's generally what happens at my house too. Everybody just leaves. Mr. Heller knows. All right. What do we do to click it? And just. Okay, we'll see. Thank you for having me to describe. Talk a little bit about our winter sports season. I know that sometimes I just give a written report, but I wanted to make sure that I came up and spoke to you because there's a couple of people in the audience that I'd like to recognize for their outstanding achievement in the world of sports. So this is my report. I got it. Figure out the arrow works good. So we have, in our sports for the winter, we have basketball, both boys and girls, soccer, both boys and girls, and both of those sports have JV and varsity components to them. Wrestling has both male and female. And you can see our participation numbers since we moved soccer in the year of 22-23 to the winter really increased our opportunity for our kids to play soccer in the winter. We added a JV we had a JV component to both male and female. And that really opened the door for a lot of our kids to participate in the winter. So that's just a little bit of an overview of what we do. This year, we had some outstanding performances in our sports. In our team sports, our basketball was highlighted by our girls varsity team, who kind of resurrected their season years ago. We were a dismal program when my daughter was trying to score baskets, and Alicia, our coach, Alicia Summer, has done a great job of leading our program into a much more competitive environment for the girls to participate in. This year we won the Calistoga tournament. We earned second place in our league, which has been a long time since that happened. We earned an NCS berth the first time since 2014, and we actually advanced to the second round after a fortunate forfeit win. Our boys basketball, we're up and down this season. Had a lot of good participation, a lot of close games. We struggled to score, but finished winning 4 of our last 5 contests. Our soccer programs were young and improving. Our girls especially started 3 or 4 freshmen, a couple of sophomores. They're really looking forward to a growth, and I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in soccer here in the near future. And our boys had a really fun senior night. I think that was probably the highlight of their season as well, beating or tying a perennial playoff team in Rosen Prep. Our wrestling has really grown in terms of reputation. And I have 2 young ladies here that I'd like to honor here in a second. But overall, our girls varsity with only 4 competitors placed 5th in our conference, and our boys also finished 5th. We had 6 kids or 7 kids qualify for NCS this year, which is a very high number for the number of wrestlers we had. So I was very happy for Coach Sasser and the wrestling program. All right. But now I'd like to introduce 2 young ladies. Come on up, girls. So the two individuals that I am bringing up to the stage, come right over here so they can see you. We have are just a joy to coach. I get to coach them in the sports of football and in softball, and they are just wonderful individuals, and they have a very, very bright future. But their sports success has been primarily in the sport of wrestling. And they started in the 7th grade when it was still COVID, and there weren't really many matches. And then 8th grade, they got to experience some matches, and then they came in like gangbusters in high school. And what a career that they've had. I definitely think anytime we have competitors that can compete and succeed at the state level, we should honor them. So I wanted to bring them up here. This is the Ana Hernandez twins. We have Ana Carla here to the right, and Ana East here to her left. Ana East, starting with her, is a 2-time CIF state qualifier. She's actually the only wrestler in St. Helena history to podium at the NCS all 4 years in high school. Her sister, Ana Carla, is a 2-time CIF medalist. Last year she placed 4th, and then this year she also placed 4th, going all the way to the state semifinals before losing. I would love to take credit for all of their credentials, but somehow the football and softball I can't take that much credit for. I do need to recognize Coach Sasser and Coach Hernandez for doing an outstanding job with not only these 2 individuals, but the whole team. So I want to congratulate them for their outstanding success. I do want to update you. There is some news happening in sports. So this is not generally a winter sport concept, but there are 2 significant things happening within our conference that I think you should be aware of. Both are positive for us. Starting with our league placement. Our league is very spread out, as many of you know. We travel quite a bit for being a small school, and basically that's due because we find schools that compete in the same sports that we do, and can give us a level playing field, a chance to compete at at sport to sport various years, year to year. So we typically compete with all of the Lake County schools and then go from Cloverdale up all the way to Fort Bragg. And those trips are very tenuous at times. This year, or next year in 26-27, we're actually going to add some Sonoma County schools and split our league into 2 somewhat divisions, giving us a little bit of reprieve on travel. Our league will only consist of teams in Middletown, Cloverdale, Sonoma Academy, Credo, and Roseland Prep. And leaving the other division with the upper Lake County schools and Fort Bragg and Willits. Now, primarily this is in the sports of volleyball, basketball, both boys and girls, and baseball and softball, which take a heavy toll on Tuesdays and Thursday travel. So this will alleviate some of that travel all the way up to those Mendocino schools. We don't have to play them. We can choose to play them. But we can also choose to only play them on Fridays sometimes. So it's really a good thing for our students. The next thing that's happening in our soccer program is because a lot of our schools are working towards the fall soccer again, where we don't want to lose that participation, is we're going to be joining the North Bay League. Everything it looks and points to us joining that league and getting it approved at the next Board of Managers meeting. And that will allow us to participate in a league, again, a little bit closer to St. Helena, and also, giving us a league with the teams from the Lake County schools and the Mendocino schools all playing in the fall. We don't have a league to play in, so that makes scheduling difficult, and it's not as fun for the kids. And then, of course, tonight, and hopefully all works out, if we do go ahead and improve flag football, we actually have in the works some league matchups or non-league matchups in a rotation in the Vine Valley with the Napa schools. So there's a ton of things happening in the world of sports, and I think it's all positive things for participation, staying in class, and things like that. So thank you. Oh, I guess questions. Do I have questions? Mr. Binder didn't ask for questions.
Any questions, trustees?
All right, thank you.
No. Exciting stuff. Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Okay, we're going to move on to 6E, presentation by the student representative of the board, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you.
Andy, do you think you can wing it without your slides while we look for
I'm
them?
gonna have them right here. So
You
that's
have
fine.
them?
Yeah.
Hit it.
Okay. I hope everyone's doing well today. Here's my report for the month of March. So the St. Helena High School Student Congress on March 3rd. We had our third meeting of the year, and we had a guest speaker, Hang, and she introduced the Fleur family and the goals of Fleur family, and which focused on building relationships between the upper and lower classmen through mentoring. And then we also had our guest speaker, Vice Principal, Mr. Fetters, and he just reviewed the importance of the Healthy Kids Survey and how that data helps the high school go through what we need to focus on as a school. And then me and John Oliver, we asked student Congress members for ideas for videos for advisory to raise awareness of the impact of bullying on school culture and climate. Then also St. Patrick's Day rally will be tomorrow, March 13th. We're going to do games to promote class unity and competition. And then we'll also have a sneak peek of the drama play Little Shop of Horrors, which opens this weekend. And then finally, the spring dance. We are having a throwback 2000s dance, which will be March 27th from 7:30 to 9:30 in the field house, and tickets will be sold $10 until March 25th. This was a financial support from the 10th graders parent group, and it will also serve as a fundraiser for the sophomore class. For the RLS, this month is the month of movement challenge, where teachers have encouraged students to do physical activity, whether it's running, walking, or biking to school. And each advisory class tracks their minutes through logs. And at the end of the month, each advisory class with the most minutes wins. Webb organized an Olympic finals rally and / Give Big kickoff. This rally included a whole bunch of games where grades competed against each other. And students also received Give Big flyers in order to fundraise and collect donations. With the donations, increased participation will give Big a more robust field day. And then finally, the 8th graders will visit the St. Helena High School, and students will learn their academic opportunities for next year. They get to visit the campus and be introduced to student life and athletic opportunities. Then for the St. Helena Elementary School, a grant from the Grassroots Foundation provided financial support for a motivational guest speaker. This grant was obtained by Miss McCornack, PE teacher, and the guest speaker was Renee Boared, and she is a world champion jump roper, and she emphasized the message that it is okay to make mistakes. When you're jump roping, you fail over and over again, but it's just the importance of keep trying no matter what happens. Students participate in jump roping activities, and they receive their own jump ropes. And there's also a family art night, which was Sip and Paint. It was painting with families and students, and aguas fresas were also provided for family members. And the theme of the paintings were ocean theme paintings, and these paintings were to be used for the spring concert. Then the elementary school is also bringing back the talent show after many years, and this is a really big thing for the elementary school because it is organized by a student council, and it's been many years since they've had the talent show. And I remember when I was there, I was so excited for the talent show. I remember one of the faculty members, she grabbed a whole bunch of hula hoops, and she was just doing some crazy stuff with those, and I was amazed. And then I visited Mrs. Bond's 3rd grade class, and they had a mini class project of raising and caring for trouts, and every day one student is assigned to check on the trout eggs and make sure that they're all good, and then they also have a cycle of cleaning the trout, how do I say it? Oh, jeez, I just lost the word. The tank. Yes, there you go. Thank you. And then they learn how the eggs fertilize and how the trout eventually will grow and be taken care of. And I had some pictures. They were super cool, but No worries. And then finally for St. Helena Primary School, I visited Miss Ledesma's first grade class. And the day I visited, it was Cozy Reading Day for Dr. Seuss's birthday. Every student was wearing pajamas to school, and it was pretty cool. Just like Trustee Wolf says, it's always a pleasure to go over there. The kids are amazing. I was actually reading a book with this first grader, Cade, and he was amazing. We read together. We read Dinosaurs versus Bears, I think. It was just like a cool book, and I just enjoyed being there the entire time. And then he also showed me their Dreambox math program, where every student has access to this math game where you have to play math game, or you have to answer math problems in order to play these games. And then he just told me that it was a great experience for him, and I had some pictures with them, but unfortunately we don't have that.
It'll be found.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Andy, Dr. McClay will definitely share your slides
Okay.
with us.
Yeah.
I'm really eager to see them now. Those great descriptions. Thank you as always.
I'm excited there's something in the field house.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Andy, great presentation, as always. Thank you. 6F, can't believe you're going to make me try to say this word. Presentation of the St. Helena Sesquicentennial Planning. Trustee Wolf.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm coming over here. I'm changing my hat.
I didn't know I had to share with you. I get voluntold and then you show up. I'm Caroline Palmisano. I'm co-chair of the St. Helena Sesquicentennial Committee. I'm also a co-president of the St. Helena Primary and Elementary School PTG. And probably my biggest claim to fame is I'm Trustee Wolf's daughter. Or Teddy's mom. I guess now I'm Teddy's mom. Yeah, that's what I am. I know we're on a tight time schedule, so we just kind of want to run through a few of our fun events throughout the year and hopefully how we can partner. Thank you, I'm just a loud talker naturally. How we can partner together and bring our schools as part of this year-long celebration. I feel one of the neatest things about St. Helena is that so many of us went through this school system, we left and we came back. There are so many generations of people living in this town who have gone through all of these schools. I mean, now my kid is at the primary school, so we're just keeping it going. It'll never end. So, you want to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, fine. The first thing we're starting with, it's on the 21st. We are having an old-fashioned fundraiser at, where else? The Native Sons Hall. We have all these wonderful things planned for the year, but we need to raise some money. So tickets are on sale. It should be a wonderful event. Celebrity chef over here, Chef Vince, and the Oddfellows will be doing an incredible barbecue. We will have live music and line dancing. I look at the guest list every day, and it's a really fun group of people. So buy your tickets, come celebrate with us. There'll be a live and silent auction. It should just be a great time to start this year-long celebration. And then on Tuesday, right after that, the 24th, is St. Helena's actual 150th birthday. So we invite you all, tell all your friends to come down to Lyman Park. There'll be a plaque dedication, and then all of St. Helena downtown will be open till 6 o'clock. There will be live music. Different storefronts are doing some fun surprises and exciting things happening. When's the last time you walked downtown and went into all of our shops and talked to everybody there? So come on down, celebrate with us. Cheers to what we've done in the past, what we're doing now, what's happening in the future. It should be a great way to see all of your neighbors. And it's a Tuesday. What else are you doing? And then probably the biggest thing that pertains to everyone here is a parade. What is a celebration without a parade? So we are having a parade on the 25th. I know it's prom, I know, but the parade's at 1 o'clock, so maybe we can get some freshmen and sophomore out there to participate. We would love to have the schools involved, have alumni come out. I know there are costumes in the basement of the elementary school, and I know 3rd grade does St. Helena history in the curriculum, so maybe we have some pioneers from the elementary school. However we can get you involved and help, Central Valley has offered if anyone needs a truck or a trailer that they will donate that. Nimbus has offered their guidance if you'd like to build a float. So whatever we can do to make this a great birthday parade in St. Helena. And then throughout the year, obviously, we have all different events that range small to large. Everything's on our website. I ask you to look at it. Check it out regularly. It's always updating. The big event that we're raising money for will be September 5th, and it's going to be on Library Lane in Adams. It's a giant block party. We're going to cheers to 150 years of St. Helena. Come one, come all. Free to everyone. There'll be food trucks if you want to purchase food or bring your own. We'll have music. There'll be a headlining band a really fun headlining band. I can't announce it just yet, but it'll be a great time. So bring your friends, your family, your neighbors, and come celebrate with everyone together. What'd I miss?
You did great. I'm just going to add a few things. We're talking about being here at the district. How can St. Helena School District be involved? So many ways. One, the parade. We would love to see a showing. We'd love all 4 schools. And it doesn't have to be like the Rose Parade in Pasadena, but, be fun. Kids in costume or just kids carrying their, elementary or primary and their little dragon or angels, just fun to have all these kids involved. And like Caroline said, even alumni coming back, that'd be fun. We'd love to see teachers kind of integrate into their curriculum some of St. Helena history. I know you said 3rd grade does that too, but there's so many great things. We, just doing this, have learned so much about St. Helena. All these names you see, you're like, oh, so-and-so Bale was married to the Krug, and that started this. So all year, there's all these events that are really going to be interesting history events as well. And what else was I going to say? So all the history events, the parade, and I think the most important thing is this is a big community focus. This is just about a couple people from the community working together, celebrating who we are, where we live. And yeah, we have some issues in the city and the water's a weird color, but it's all about who we are and why we live here and what a good place we are. So we just encourage everyone to come, get involved. We take volunteers. Look on our website, as Caroline said, and it's going to be a fun year. So we're excited to welcome the district to sharing it with us.
And Andy, that throwback of 2000 stance is offensive. We're not that old.
Thank you. Questions?
It's the website name, just...
All you have to do, Google Celebrate St. Helena, and it's going to pop right up for you.
Okay.
It's celebratesainthelena.com, but you just can't remember that. Google it. You'll find it.
Okay, thank you.
And you can ask me anything.
Thank you, Trustee Wolf, and thank you to your lovely daughter, who is your mini-me.
We're not known for being brief, so I hope we did okay.
You did fabulous. We're so excited for all those events this year. It's great. It's going to be great.
I do have posters if anyone needs
Oh,
one.
yes. Okay, we're going to move on finally to public comment on open session items. And before we begin, I want to just say a couple of things. Before starting your comment, you may provide your name and address. Please do not provide your name if you wish to remain anonymous or if you do not want your information included in the meeting minutes. There's a 3-minute limit on public comment. This public forum is not structured as a question and answer session, but offered as an opportunity to share your thoughts with the board. Before we begin, I just want to share that over the past few months, we've received emails and letters to the board about various topics. For the most part, the messaging has been formal and respectful. We appreciate your thoughtful comments and your time and effort in communicating directly with us, always. As a reminder to the community, when you send correspondence to the board, we ask that you refrain from mentioning minor children of board members. It's inappropriate to include our children in correspondence with the board to make your point. Thank you. Please, open comment is available for anyone who'd like to come up.
Hi there, my name is Jason Moulton. I live in Calistoga, 1701 North Oak Street, and my son attends St. Helena Primary. I'm here today to give feedback as a parent on the STAR reading and math program that you spoke about in the February board meeting. I really appreciated trustee members Pelosi, Mora, and Simon questioning the implementation and execution of this new pilot program. No one wants to see a new program fail or children suffer from the early learnings of a new policy and the system like this one. Currently, I don't believe it's working. I have not believed it for this past year. And from the statistics or metrics you provided on second grade last month, I see that only 44% of all second graders are up to district expectations, while 56% are failing district expectations in math. The baseline versus mid-year testing is the exact same percent. There's no change. There's no improvement. The conversations with teachers, the principal, the anxiety, and the stress put onto not only us as parents, but the children are ridiculous. The program may be creating an environment of test-taking anxiety with this teaching methodology that I'm seeing. For example, timing a 7-year-old for 2 minutes and then having them work through addition and subtraction as fast as possible could be a problem. Why? Because the institution who created the test-taking measure states that timing a child is a concern at the bottom of the worksheet we're given. Isn't that a warranted concern? I urge you to look at the teaching material yourselves. I know the district wants to improve metrics, but this is not the same St. Helena primary education we received prior to this with our other child. I do not claim to know how to improve upon this, but simply want to identify what my family has seen and experienced. My respect and love for the teachers and staff at St. Helena Primary is deep, and I appreciate the hard work and attention that they have given both of my children that are in the district. I do not enjoy coming here to tell you this tale. That being said, the cautionary tale I'll leave you with is that new policy and programs like this can negatively impact our perceptions of how teachers are pushing these new math and/or reading concepts and testing measures. It begs the question to the board, are our expectations as a district too high for our children, or is this process and teaching methodology imperfect? President Simon, your concern resonated the most with me. Reevaluate what we aren't teaching. I'll leave it there, and I thank you for your time and appreciate your service that you provide. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Madeline Brazil, and I'm currently AVID 910, the AP World History teacher, the leadership teacher, activities director, and a member of the ILT team at St. Helena High School. I'm here to share my teacher's perspective on the proposed reduction in force for one of the certificated counseling positions at St. Helena High School. It is impossible not to feel defeated in our current reality as educators. On a daily basis, we witness our students struggle with anxiety and mental health challenges, technology disruptors, inappropriate and harmful AI use, learning loss, and worst of all, a lack of desire to learn and authentically engage in schools. I believe that this is a moment of crisis for students and educators across the nation. In times of crisis, a global pandemic, multiple wildfires, the death of a student, the collective staff of St. Helena Unified has made it a choice and a priority to focus on our students, even if it meant we were scared or overwhelmed by the task at hand. St. Helena Unified has the resources, tools, and people to address this crisis, but it will require a commitment for all of us to unite and collectively face this challenge head-on. We have done so before, and we need to do so now to preserve the integrity of the St. Helena High School counseling team. In addition to the daily hurdles that students face, they are bombarded with questions that force them to also look towards their unknown future. What are you going to do after high school? Where are you going to college? These simple and caring questions from the people around them overwhelm students, and they find themselves at a loss. Our high school counselors provide the tools, resources, and in-person support that students need to navigate their lives during and after high school. This is not a one-person job. The American School Counselors Association recommends a ratio of 1 counselor to 250 students, and we are very close to that ratio right now. This proposed reduction in force will shift our counselor to student ratio to be more aligned with the state average. As a district, we pride ourselves in being above average in important metrics, including A through G and graduation rates, AP and dual enrollment success, and post-secondary enrollment. I believe that this mentality should be also applied to the counseling services and support we provide. Since joining the district in 2014, I have had the pleasure of serving the students of St. Helena High School as a teacher and also experiencing the amazing programs that we offer our students through the eyes of my son, a current second grader at St. Helena Primary School. I have listened intently to conversations about declining enrollment, budget changes, and deferred maintenance, and recognize that we face many challenges. I am not an expert in school budgets, but I do know our students. I appeal to those sitting in front of me to utilize their collective expertise as school leaders and reconsider the proposed reduction in force. This will reduce our team of highly qualified counseling professionals who are able to respond to the ever-changing needs of our students. I ask the board maintain our counseling structure and staffing at both the middle and high school level and view it as an investment in the current and future students of St. Helena Unified. If we don't, I am concerned that in the future we will look back in time with regret. We are currently in this reality with this situation with deferred maintenance of our schools, as buildings and grounds are in great needs of maintenance, repair, and updating based on previously made decisions that focused on the short-term need instead of the future. I worry that if this reduction in force is made final, in time we will look back at this decision with the same regret. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Paige Rios. I've been a teacher at St. Helena High School for 33 years. I teach psychology and statistics, and I'm here to speak to you again this month. At your last meeting, my colleagues and I spoke of concerns regarding the elimination or reduction of counseling position at the high school. As longtime staff members, we have intimate knowledge of the day-to-day responsibilities of this position. We thoughtfully planned and presented our persuasive arguments. When finished, it was clear to us that there was no intent to consider our concerns, as within a minute you chose not to discuss or deliberate, but simply to vote. It seems that your minds were already made up on the matter, so I chose to look at the reasoning and timeline leading up to this decision. First, the financial argument. The claim is that the counseling position is being eliminated due to financial strain related to declining enrollment. That argument doesn't hold water. We are a basic aid district. Our revenue stream is fundamentally unchanged, whether we have 1,200 or 1,000 students. Equating us to other districts who are imposing layoffs is nonsensical. We are not an ADA district. Another claim is that this position, if reduced or eliminated, will impact students the least. You can read any of the letters written by staff and students, which were submitted for last meeting or tonight's meeting, to find evidence in contradiction. Now for the timeline. In January, you made specific amendments to the longstanding elements of layoff skipping criteria in Resolution 2513. One of those amendments seems to target the counseling position held by Sean Garrity. The resolution indicates that counseling staff who are bilingual will take priority over other counselors. It's important to note that fluency in Spanish was not part of the job description when Mr. Garrity was hired in the fall of 2019. Knowing that this would lead to his layoff, did the district meet with Mr. Garrity at that point and give him details about what would be needed to pass this district-administered Spanish fluency exam? This decision is a major upheaval to the counseling departments at both sites. However, the professionals in these positions have not been made aware of a plan. I bring up the topic of a plan because there's public sharing on Nextdoor about this plan. Several of the people on the platform have commented that there's a plan and to trust in the plan. It appears that members of the public have been advised of a plan regarding personnel issues, but not the staff. The post made online asked us to trust the board. They know what they're doing. It's a surprise that the board is advising in staffing decisions. The role of a California School Board trustee is to act on recommendations made by the superintendent. Dr. McClay has stated that this layoff is not performance-based, but solely financial. Let's be real, one certificated position is a blip on the financial ledgers of this district. So I ask that you be forthcoming of what this is really about. This position represents the Garrity family's livelihood. As layoffs are happening in surrounding districts.
Thank you, Mrs. Rios. Your 3 minutes are up. I appreciate all of your comments. We have to cut you off. Thank you very much. I hate cutting people off, but we have to stick to the 3-minute rule. Thank you.
Can I go? Hello, everyone. My name is Tatum Smith. I'm a junior here at St. Helena High School, and I'm also the student class president here, and I've been a part of the student council for 3 years now. I am here because I do not believe that this RIF or this taking away of the counselor position at St. Helena High School is right. I believe that high schoolers need a different kind of support than middle schoolers, and I really think that it's important that 2 high schoolers are here, as I sent my letter in with the 250-to-1 statistic of what it should be recommended, which would be extremely unfortunate if we ended up with our current student population of 433-to-1. And I'm just extremely disappointed because as a student who's been here for 3 years and I've worked and put everything into my high school career, into going into a college and working towards college, and then my most important resource being my counselor is being taken away and my resources being cut, which is extremely upsetting. I am here as a representative of the student body, and I want to acknowledge that I understand that a school budget and putting it together is extremely difficult, and in no way I am saying that I have all the answers, because I'm sure it's really hard. But I just feel that as divergent thinkers here at St. Helena, which is what we really pride ourselves in being, that there has to be some kind of better way to save more money instead of taking away a counselor position here. I'm sorry, this is really intimidating to be in front of me. I'm just here to represent all of the students here and say that I feel that there's some kind of better way to support St. Helena high schoolers, because I know that I am in the counselor's office constantly as a junior getting ready to go to college, and I email them constantly. So I hope that you guys could reconsider your decision and think through a better way to do this. And I will be back here with a petition next month to show the students' support of this removal, of not removing this counselor position. So thank you for your time and letting me talk.
Thank you. Any other comments? Great.
Hello, my name is Brandon Pham, a junior at St. Helena High School. Before I get started, I'd like to thank all the board members here on the work that they do behind the scenes, and without them, I do not believe that we would be as prestigious we are as a high school. Now, like my colleague Tatum, I am here regarding the
Reduction.
Yeah, the reduction of the counseling position. Although it is true that some of my colleagues have had some, shall we say, personal conflicts with Mr. Garrity, I believe, like any other kid, that education and the help that we should get should not be limited to one counselor. Everyone is different, and everyone needs different supports to fit their needs, and just help them when tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more open comments? Okay. On behalf of the board, I want to thank you for your thoughtful comments. We appreciate your time and effort in communicating directly with us, and we truly do. A reduction in force, RIF, is challenging and creates uncertainty. Unfortunately, education codes and laws limit our ability to share specific details. Regrettably, the RIF isn't on the agenda for this evening, so we can't discuss it. Preliminary notices don't mean services will be eliminated. We all agree that our student services and programs are valuable. Preliminary notices allow staff to develop options that address student needs. The board will be informed of these options before final decisions. The school board is dedicated to maintaining high academic standards and safeguarding students' best interests. So thank you. We'll move on to student learning and achievement with 8A, presentation of the 2025-26 school plan for student achievement, SIPSA, for St. Helena Elementary School.
Excuse me, President Simon, did we want to do the spec, the facility?
You're absolutely right. I apologize. That's right. We will do, and then we'll have a comfort break. You got it. Okay, yes, like Dr. McClay explained at the beginning of the meeting, we are going to move 11A, facilities, educational specifications, ed specs, and facilities presentation to right now. Thank you. I would like to call on, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to get this all up. Here, Dr. Vang.
Thank you, President Simon. And I'm going to have Trent Summer with Motive Studio and John Delano with Greystone West up here to the podium so we can get started with the presentation to provide the board with an update not only on the educational specifications but also projects, facilities, projects. Thank you.
That's the second interim financial report. Dr. Vang? I can wing it. I could totally wing it, but it's not going to be nearly as informative. No, thank you very much. I had a moment of terror there. Okay. So we're here tonight to kind of provide a facilities update, talk a little bit about the educational specifications we've been developing, and then as well some facilities update for projects and future projects. So what we're going to go over is the educational specifications draft that you have. We're going to talk a little bit about the work we're doing for St. Helena Elementary School this summer, some work we're starting to scope out for the high school next summer, summer 2027, and then the next steps moving forward. So first, to talk about the educational specifications, you should have at this time have a draft of the educational specifications. That draft included and incorporated a lot of the comments that we got from you last time, including alignment narratives that illustrate how the plan is connected back to the facility master plan, action items for each item in there to assure connectivity, right, to the capital improvement projects. And we're underlining capital improvement projects because we're going to have to change the way we talk about these projects moving forward. That came from the state, right, as part of our Prop 2 funding alignment. So we talked a lot about major deferred maintenance projects, and we talked about larger projects. We're going to start changing that vocabulary to capital improvement projects. So we're just going to start talking about them that way. That's going to align it a little bit more with those requirements for Prop 2. And so we'll just get familiar with that vocabulary, but you'll start to see that as we talk about them moving forward. Okay, so you have that documentation. I believe that we did a good job rolling in the comments that you had from the initial presentation. We show critical alignment to the facility master plan, which is great. And then we also show action items for anything that's not in the facility master plan to make sure that we take action items for you to start to execute and move forward. Okay. What we'd like and what we kind of ask for is that you get your comments back to Dr. Vang so that we can work in those changes to both the facility master plan and the educational specifications to bring those to adoption in April. We work at your discretion, so if you need some more time, let us know, but we do need to have those adopted as part of that Prop 2 funding analysis. Okay? So get those comments back to Dr. Vang, we'll roll that in, and then we'll be back in April for board adoption of those documents. We'll make any changes you'd like, and we look for those comments probably around the beginning of April, if possible, just to make sure we have some time to do that. Okay. So moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the facilities update. We are moving forward with the projects in 2026, summer 2026 at the elementary school. There's going to be the re-roofing, some path of travel upgrades. We incorporated the work to bring Building A back online. And then some other deferred maintenance targets that we had, some dry rot repair, things of that nature. Those plans have been submitted to DSA. DSA has deemed those plans worthy of plan checking, and they are in the middle of the plan check process. Okay? We should get those comments back from DSA. We'll get them DSA approved, and then we'll start the construction of that project. We are also working with Holly Construction, our leaseback contractor, and they are developing that guaranteed maximum price that we talked about last time with the primary school. So we know the maximum we'll be paying with some contingencies built in. But right now, our conversations with Holly are good. They're aligned with budget, and we should be landing the project in the monetary amount that we discussed with you. We are having our OACs, our owner, architect, contractor meetings every week and helping them dial that in, answering any questions and working with them to develop that. We should have that back to board, I think, next month or the following month. I'll check with John and we'll bring that back to you. That's the good news. We have 2 items of importance to discuss with you. One is the delay at DSA, right? And that is a statewide delay that we'll go into a little bit. And then one is also our inability to save the upper windows at the elementary school. So we'll talk a little bit about that, why that was necessary, how that happened, and make sure that we're really clear on that as we move forward. Okay, first step. The state of California, when they take plans from school districts, usually has a number of projects that they take to make sure that they don't get overwhelmed. There's a code cycle change in January, so a lot of architects were fighting to get their plans in, and the state didn't stop taking projects in. In January or late December, they sent us an email that said, hey, we took in 900 projects, multiple billions of dollars, we're completely overwhelmed, we're gonna be a month and a half late on our comments. And that just kind of went out as an email blast, and they just said, we'll let you know what happens. So right now, we are working to integrate that change. That went out to every single school district, right? We're still in our place in line, but it really is in response to the volume of work that they took in. And really, in our mind, that was mostly because they just took everything in and didn't really say no to anybody. So now they have a huge amount of work to plan check. So what are we gonna do? We may not be able to stamp out until June. Right? That's late. That's much later than we wanted to, but we're here to kind of own that bad news with you now and really start to develop a plan. How are we going to address that delay if it happens, right? We will continue to update you, but if it does come to that delay, how are we going to address that? We are working with our contractor right now to make sure that they focus on areas of work that will affect students first, right? We'll make sure that the students are not affected by this delay, or if they are affected, in a very minimal way, right? We're going to prioritize student learning, but what that means is that we may not be able to bring classroom building wing A on at the beginning of school. Does that make sense? We're going to make sure that we prioritize any active classroom with an understanding that classroom A is not currently available to the campus, and we'll do everything in our power to bring classroom A back on at the start of the school year, but that may delay. Talking to our contractors, they're optimistic at this point that they can do that. And of course, if anything changes, we'll come back and let you know. Any questions before we move on? Yeah.
Can you help refresh my memory? When you say, you said classroom A, then you also use wing A.
Sorry.
So, no, I just want to, are we talking one class? We're not talking one classroom.
There are 4 classrooms.
4 classrooms, so thank you.
Yeah, and currently the campus has been very, very diligent about finding ways to work around without that classroom wing.
Okay.
We're just going to ask them to kind of extend that if we need to. But again, we'll definitely come back and keep you updated as we progress.
Okay. And then did you also say that there was a change in construction code, which is why everybody was eager to get their projects into DSA?
Yeah, January 1st, they changed the California Building Code updates every 3 years.
Yeah.
And so there was a code cycle change January 1st.
Okay.
When we couple that with the large amount of state funding, the large amount of local bonds, there's a huge volume of work sort of in the market of K-12 architecture. Right. And everybody just started to push that in as fast as they could to get it in before the code cycle.
And they didn't increase personnel that reviews all those. So.
Yeah, and it's very difficult for the state. In their defense, it's very difficult.
Sure.
Right? They have to go to the allocation board, prove a need, get a position. So they're doing the best they can.
Okay.
It's just a tsunami of work that they allowed into the system.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. So my question is as far as the Holly construction, I know that sometimes they might have a couple of jobs going on in the summer. Does this stack them too close to? Are they feeling okay with this change?
I think they believe that they'll provide us with a workable schedule, right? So we understand that we're going to come to you and present that schedule to you. They do believe that they'll be able to prioritize the work to not impact students.
Okay.
Right. But we will be working very closely with them. Again, this is, thank you for embracing the lease-leaseback contracting method. Thank you for letting us get a collaborative contracting partner. They are working with us now to address this challenge. So we are as far ahead of a challenge as anybody can be in the state right now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And we understand that this will be something that we come update you on for the next couple months.
Mm-hmm. I have a construction 101 question. Yeah. The terminology, we can't stamp out until June. Can you just kind of tell me what exactly that
no, I
means?
apologize for that. So when we put plans in, the state reviews them and they send us back a handful of comments and we address those comments. And then when they approve them, they put their little stamp on it and say, these plans are good to build. So that's the stamp out process. We can't start even any demolition until we've stamped out. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Okay. The other thing we want to address with you are the high windows in those classrooms. When we look at how the building was designed and how it was originally built, there's not enough room at those windows for us to get the code required or manufacturer or warrantable height at those windows up from the roof to assure that those classrooms won't leak again, if that makes sense. We have to build up the roof structure to get positive slope to the edge, and then at the end of that roof, we have to provide 8 inches of vertical clearance, or the roofing manufacturers won't say that they'll warranty that. Right? So you'll see that lower blue line is kind of how high that gets on the window. And then there's an upper blue line that kind of comes down because we have to put some framing in there if we want to put a window in there, right? It'd be a small header, but we need some sort of framing material for that window to connect to. So what we start to see is that these windows start to get very, very compressed, okay? In addition to that, the windows are at a very steep slope. All right, they're at about 70 degrees, and for us to find a window that works on a 70-degree sloped roof element, there's one manufacturer in Northern California that'll do that. What that means is they're very, very expensive and they take a very long time to get. So if we wanted to do that, we'd have to frame those windows. We'd be left with about a 16-inch ribbon of glass. All right, and the cost of the district would be somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000. So what we have elected to do is remove those windows in their entirety, frame in those walls, and we will be losing that light at this point. Now, those classrooms do have an abundance of natural light. They have a full wall of windows on one side, and then on the other side, there you can see their images, there's about a top third of that. And we'll put in some light fixtures that provide both up and down light. So that dark area that may be potentially dark, we'll have that lit with some up lighting, so it'll look a little bit like the lights above us now. There'll be actually some light in there, so it won't create sort of a dark and kind of cavernous area. But our intent and how the drawings are done right now is to infill those with an understanding that there's lots of natural light in there, and then provide that uplight as well to kind of soften that potential dark area.
The original height that now they're being reduced to 16?
They're about 2.5 feet.
Okay.
2.5, 3 feet.
Okay.
They're done. The buildings were built in this great time of architecture where, man was battling nature and we thought we'd win, but it's definitely something that we can't come back and do now.
Slope construction is always a challenge.
Water has to move away. So. Yeah.
I'm just not sure how to ask it. So with this change, it sounds like it would be significantly expensive if we replaced them with the same glass. Is it going to reduce the cost then with not using the glass at all then, with the plan that we have on the table now?
Yeah, I believe it's a much more affordable method. So we will see those savings, and if those savings then, as we did with glass, they'll get allocated to contingencies. And as we move through the project, if we are able to recoup those savings, we'll look at taking on additional deferred maintenance needs at the elementary school within that project, or then come back and return that cost savings to the district for reallocation to other projects.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oh, any other questions? Okay. So one of the things that we want to talk about too is making sure as the state becomes a bit more cumbersome with the plan reviews that we get even earlier into the projects that we start doing. So there's some discussion about what to start doing as our next round of projects just to kind of get these on our radar. And I know you're really, really tired of me coming back and working us through this cycle, but you have been incredibly good soldiers to this point. And so we're going to start to talk a little bit about what our plan is right now at St. Helena High School to do that targeted $5 million intervention, not this summer, but the following summer. Okay, so we're going to look a little bit about, we're going to look into adding the air conditioning at the gymnasium, right? We're going to look at the quad modernization to address some critical flooding, but also redevelop that as an essential outdoor gathering area for students. And then we're going to look into replacing the multi-sport track and field with possible bleacher work depending on the budgets. That makes sense? So what happens next? We're going to start to bring back some proposals to you. And then we're going to roll on those projects. There is a possibility, depending on state funding reimbursements, right? That's big and bold. So depending on state reimbursements, we know they are coming. We don't quite know when. But depending on those timing, we might be able to get into some gym modernization work, including the locker rooms. And then we'll become aggressively starting to run down the roofs there, and then also some classroom modernizations aligned with the facility master plan. And if those checks do come in, we absolutely will come back to you for permission and scoped up projects before we do anything. Okay? So the next steps, we're going to gather all the desired edits to the ed specs and the facility master plan. If we can have those by April 1st, we'll make sure to get those rolled in for an adoption into April. And then you're going to start to see us developing budgets and bring proposals and do some kickoff for those St. Helena 2027, the St. Helena High School 2027 capital improvement projects. Okay? Questions, comments?
You mentioned the state appropriations, kind of the funding that we get from the state. I read somewhere that there's delays in that right now, or there possibly could be delays in that. Is that something that we should be thinking about during this process, or?
I think we always want to be aware of that. We always want to make sure that we understand that we're in line. We have been approved. So to date, we've done everything that we can possibly do to best position ourselves. If that does change, there is some discussion about how that gets reallocated, and we can definitely bring April back from King to discuss that. It really depends if some things come to fruition. You still remain in the best possible position you can be in your district to have your funds approved and ready. But we just want to be diligent about waiting until we get those in hand before we start to make any promises about work we're going to do.
Right, okay.
And we can definitely bring April back to have that conversation with you for sure.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would imagine, too, that we're still, because there's going to be new leadership in Sacramento, and who knows what will happen with budgets at the state level as well. So to your point.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Any
Absolutely.
other questions, comments? No. Trent, thank you.
Absolutely.
John, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Take care. Yeah, we are going to take a 5-minute comfort break, and we will be back. Thank you. Okay. Welcome back. We're going to now jump back up to student learning and achievement, and I would like to welcome Mrs. O'Connor.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. McClay, staff, district staff, and community members. Thank you for this opportunity to share an update of the St. Helena Elementary School's school plan for student achievement. I'm very excited to highlight the work that we've been doing so far this year and the progress that both the students and the staff have made. Tonight, I'll briefly, where do I point it? This way? Okay, great. Tonight, I'll briefly walk you through our school profile. I'll share with you our baseline data, and as well as our goals, and most importantly, the actions taken so far. And then I'll share with you the progress that we've made based on our mid-year STAR assessments, and then I'll answer any questions you may have. St. Helena Elementary School currently serves 204 students in grades 3 through 5. You can see the total enrollment for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. Our 5th grade obviously being our biggest cohort. Our student population reflects the diversity of our community. So we have 46% Hispanic, 31% socioeconomically disadvantaged, and we serve 12% English learners. We have a really high redesignation rate, which we are really very proud of. And we know that understanding our student population is critical in guiding our work as a staff, and it guides the supports that we put in place for the diverse needs of our school population. At the beginning of the year, in the fall, we took the STAR baseline assessment, and every time we take any sort of assessment, whether it's the local assessment like this or the end of the year CASP data that we had, we get together as a staff and we do a notice and wonder to identify strengths, areas of strengths, identify next steps, and also identify supports, additional supports that specific students may need. So this is what it looked like at the beginning of the year. And we know that this data helps us not only figure out as a staff, but we then take this work into our PLCs, and we continue to analyze not only this data, but the data from our common formative assessments as we go along to adjust our instruction to better meet the needs of our students. We have 3 goals at St. Helena Elementary School that mirror the goals of the district. The first is increasing academic growth for all students while addressing the achievement gap. The second is maintaining a welcome and nurturing school environment. And the third is increasing student engagement and two-way communication and involvement with parents and families. We are happy to, as a school site, to support the district goals, and we know that if we are in alignment with the goals of the district, that we will have a greater impact with the work that we're doing at our school. So for our first goal, we is increase academic growth for all students while addressing the achievement gap. We've set a very specific goal that by June of 2026, that student achievement results on the state test in language arts and math will increase overall by 5 percentage points for all students and 8% percentage points for students identified as Hispanic or English learners, moving towards closing that achievement gap. We also hope to demonstrate growth on our local site and district benchmark assessments, meaning the STAR test, as well as our common formative assessments and SMART goal assessments that we do throughout the year. Oh, gosh. So many actions taken that it's so exciting to see the work that's going on. I'll try to group a lot of these, and I apologize for the jam-packed slide, but we are doing so many great things here, as you can see demonstrated in the pictures below. We're really, really focusing a lot of our work on our instructional improvement and collaboration. And a lot of that work is guided by the CAPS network training that we attend on a monthly basis, as well as the work that we learned about at the RTI conference. And it's strengthening our work around PLCs, as well as our MTSS meetings and that team. We are focusing on question number 3, what do we do when students don't get it or understand or show demonstrate learning in the PLC process, and that really focuses us around analyzing our student work when we get together in PLCs on common formative assessments, STAR data, whatever data we can do, we are making sure that every conversation is centering around looking at data and adjusting our instructional practices in response to that. We've also done a lot of professional development that has seemed to have a really good impact. First and foremost, the professional development that the district provided us around thinking maps really has just caught on like wildfire at our site, which I'm so excited to see. We're all jumping in together, so we're all intimidated yet supportive at the same time, and I'm so proud of the teachers who are just jumping right in. And sometimes they get it right, and sometimes we have to look at it again, and through that process, I assure them that it's okay to make mistakes, just like our jump rope assembly person said, and that we're gonna learn from that, and we're gonna continue to get better. And oh gosh, I'm gonna just keep talking if you let me, but let's see, let me go back to my notes. We also, the third grade has implemented targeted phonics instruction, which seems to have a huge impact on our ELA scores and student performance. And one of the things that I'm so excited that I really believe has moved the needle greatly on many levels is peer observations. And not only are they doing peer observations of each other, but we're going to other sites to do the same, which is so exciting. And so we're able to bridge the work with the middle school, and we haven't done any yet, but we have some upcoming observations at the primary school as well. Our MTSS team meets regularly to monitor Tier 3 supports, and we've kind of reorganized how we're doing that, so we have 6-week cycles, so we can have regular updates on all the things that we're doing, making sure interventions align, and making sure that they are the most effective for our students. Oh, and last but not very least is we have teachers who are regularly engaging in student conferences with our students. So that can range from anything like following up with the STAR assessments and sitting down one-on-one, celebrating their growth, talking about goals, and creating action steps with those students, or on common formative assessments, when they create the rubrics, the students are self-assessing rather than the teacher giving them a grade, and they're talking about what is that success criteria and where are you on this rubric, and those student conferences are extremely powerful. Goal number 2 is to maintain a welcoming and nurturing school environment. We absolutely understand that it is critical that our students feel safe, happy, supported, and connected to our school. And so we spend a lot of our time and energy to ensure that. And we monitor this work through things such as student surveys, discipline data, and student support trackers to make sure that we are meeting this goal. Again, lots of action items here that I'm so excited about, but let me sum it up by saying we're doing a lot of work around we've now done the guaranteed and viable curriculum for our academic standards, and we are doing a lot of work at our leadership level, along with the primary school and the middle school as well, around a guaranteed and viable curriculum with our behavior standards. And we are prioritizing those standards, and we are making from those behavior flow charts to ensure consistent expectations across classrooms. So we are making sure that not only will any student receive the same academic experience, no matter what classroom they enter into our school, but the same culture, positive culture, and within their classroom as well. Linked to that, we have monthly character trait focus and assemblies where we recognize students for exhibiting those character traits. We have a weekly green ticket program that we also announce at our weekly assemblies, highlighting students with positive behaviors. We're doing a lot of restorative work, not only with regard to discipline occurrences that happen out on the playground or in classrooms, but also we have Up Valley, who is supporting us in doing restorative circles with our students and other restorative practices with our students. We have a really strong student leadership this year. Student council at 5th grade is just, they're nonstop putting on really, really fun and enriching things. You heard about our Socktober, our Read Bowl, and now the talent show, and they are just thriving, and it's so exciting to see the leadership happen at our school. We did just finish the California Kids Healthy Kids Survey, so we're anxious to see the results of that to guide our work moving forward. And we have made great efforts to really have a positive staff culture and collaboration, and have had really a lot of fun events for our staff members and with really great turnouts, and that's been very exciting to see the staff come together. Goal 3 is, again, aligned with the district goals, increasing student engagement and communication with parents and families. We know that strong partnerships between school and home are absolutely critical for student success. So we're continuing to find ways to expand opportunities for families to connect with the school and participate in their child's learning. We're continuing to do our coffee chats with the principals, and keep up our great communication with the use of Parent Square. We're figuring out that digital calendar feature that seems to be very much more accessible to parents. Again, always updating our student and parent handbook. The grade level teams are amazing at communication with their parents through newsletters or through other programs that we have, Seesaw, showing student work, just updating them all the time on what's going on. We've continued to have family events. One that you'll see in the pictures there is we are very excited to do our family art night. In addition to, we do have upcoming math nights and reading nights, but we were excited to bring in the arts, and we were looking for ways to reach to those families that we can't reach through those other typical family nights that we have that may be intimidating to them, and we got them, and it was really, really cool. And there were 75 people there that evening, and they were people who we were just very thrilled to see that they joined us there that evening. We have our regular PTG and ELAC meetings, as well as you can see Mr. Binder gives his wonderful music performances, our next one being at March 18th. And we continue to collaborate with local organizations, like I said, Up Valley, and Officer Masella is ever present on our campus, always coming in to play games with kids as a reward if they have earned a reward, helping us with our safety drills, or just being around to show that positive relationships with the kiddos at our school, which is great. So far, this is our mid-year testing results comparison to the beginning, showcasing all the efforts and how that is having an impact on our student scores. To sum this up, in the change in data so far this year from the mid-year to, or the baseline to the mid-year in third grade, we've seen a significant increase of 22.2. Fourth grade, we also enjoyed an increase of 9.3, and fifth grade, we saw a slight but still a positive increase, which we feel very, very encouraged by. Similarly, our math data showed a nice significant increase. Again, at the third grade level, we're seeing a equally good increase on our math scores, 22.1. Fourth grade, 11.3, and fifth grade, again, a nice positive increase there at 5.0. We are really, I'm really proud of the staff. They have worked very hard, and I've continued to push them, and they continue to respond, and I'm so thrilled to be able to work with this very hardworking staff. So I welcome questions or feedback if you have any.
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? No?
You know, I'll stop all of this here. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you to you and your entire team for all the work that you're doing. It sounds like there is a lot going on at the elementary school. It definitely shows there's a lot of dedication of everyone involved. So I wanted to say thank you very much for all of that. Thank you.
And I will echo that, just because you provided us a lot of information in that presentation. And I know it's a lot to cover here in person with us, but it gave us an opportunity to absorb it and have questions asked when we meet with Dr. McClay via you. So thank you very much for providing that for us.
You're welcome.
I had one question for you.
Sure.
I wanted to, looking at the results of the reading and the math, it was so lovely to see all of the positive growth from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. I just was curious, what factors contributed to the tremendous growth in third grade for reading and writing?
Yeah, you know, I asked them, I mean, I have my own opinions, but I asked the teachers themselves, and of course, they said, oh, besides us just being really great teachers, and I said, well, yes, besides that, they are phenomenal teachers, they are a phenomenal team, they collaborate so well together, so that at the base of it is wonderful. They really do believe that their targeted phonics instruction has been one of the biggest factors for them, because they meet the kids where they are. So if they have phonics holes that they need to fill, that group is getting that. If they don't, then they move on to a fluency group, and if they have fluency and comprehension, and then if they just really are knocking it out of the park with fluency, they move to a purely comprehension group. And so there is continuous movement based on our regular assessments. They find that to be a huge factor. They also cited that the student conferencing is a big factor as well. The kids seem extremely just engaged with what they're learning, how they meet their next goal, and they love the celebration, obviously. I do also think it was a great experience. I was able to take a number of teachers to the RTI conference, and their feedback was really great. And one of them was one of the third grade teachers, and they said, it was validating to go to the conference because we're doing a lot of these things. And then on the other hand, we thought we were doing these things the way they were supposed to be done, but we realized we have more to go. And so they have really been taking that learning, sharing it with the staff, and really starting to implement that. And as we build for our next steps, our goal is to move next year to have a Tier 2 and Tier 3 math where we're sharing students more across all 3 grade levels, versus right now we're just working on building our common formative assessments and doing Tier 2 within our own classrooms. But I do believe that increased understanding of what Tier 2 interventions need to look like has played a huge part.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to communications. We're going to begin with 9A, board member communications. Trustee Kerr.
Good evening. In consideration of time, I did prepare something this evening. I had the pleasure and opportunity to visit Robert Louis Stevenson on Thursday, March 5th, with Mr. Ryan and Superintendent McClay. I asked specifically to visit an AVID classroom, a special education classroom, the media center, and ask questions about chronic absenteeism, as I know that decreasing chronic absenteeism is one of the areas that our district is focusing on, as well as the school districts throughout California. Like in the past, the campus was bustling with busy students and the RLS team. The minute I walked on campus, I was greeted with a hello and a smile, and the kindness and appreciation of me being there was felt through the entire visit. As for chronic absenteeism, Mr. Ryan was happy to share a replication of the SARB, or School Attendance Review Board, which is a program from the California Department of Education that we use at the district level. RLS has implemented the SART program, which stands for Student Attendance Review Team, which is one strategy that is being used locally to assist RLS families with their student that may be truant or chronically absent. It is a tool to connect and communicate with families to help them understand the importance of having their students in the classroom on time and on a regular basis. From my understanding, communication to the parents and students are positive, and the message overall is, we are here to help you, we want the best for your student, and here are some ideas and strategies that may assist you. The SART program stood out to me as an authentic way to assist families in improving attendance for their child, so that they will not be required to attend a SARB meeting in the future in order to resolve persistent attendance problems. We then spent a bit of time in Mrs. Marinet's 8th grade AVID class. Currently, the class is focused on college and career exploration, which includes exploring different occupations of choice, writing professional emails, practicing interviewing skills, and discussion of classes of interest at St. Helena High School that the students may want to take in the future. The 8th grade class students went to the NCOE Career Expo today, so all this work is very timely. From there, we visited Mrs. Robledo's Learning Center classroom. This special education learning center model is a transformative approach that integrates students with disabilities into general education classrooms while providing necessary support and services. This model aims to create a more inclusive educational environment by allowing students to learn alongside their non-disabled peers. It is based on the principle that all students can benefit from an educational experience that meets their individual needs, regardless of their disabilities. The Learning Center is to provide targeted academic support for students who need it, not just those with special education services. There were 9 students present at the time, and at this time, it was the end of the period, and the students were to concentrate on classroom work that they needed to catch up on. Mrs. Robledo reported that most of the students had caught up on their work, so the students were either in small groups talking quietly, reading, or finishing up the work. On the final stop was RLS Media Center. I have not visited the media center for many years, I mean, too many years, for quite a while, and there was a makeover that looks fabulous in there. There's more space. It looks really good. The media center is a busy place. Students are able to come in during lunch. There are book clubs, reading contests, leadership and yearbook students meet regularly there, and much more. It was wonderful hearing about all that is happening there by Ms. Corsino. As always, thank you, Mr. Ryan, for your time answering my questions, being flexible in the classrooms that we visited, and your leadership at RLS. I'm very appreciative of you and the entire team. Our students and their families are in very good hands. I look forward to my next visit to Robert Louis Stevenson Middle School. So thank you. Thank you. And that is my...
Any questions, comments?
I have a question, Jeannie. When you were talking about the college exploration, was that AVID class?
Yes.
Do other kids that aren't in AVID get that same kind of opportunity to explore and talk about what's happening next, or?
I might have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
It just seems like a good time to start. I was just curious if all the kids, if they're not in AVID, get that opportunity to talk about it.
That's a good question. It's timely as well. Some of the skills that Trustee Kerr referenced are happening explicitly in the AVID class. However, one of our AVID goals is to continue to build out a college and career continuum or a work-based learning continuum so that we can plot out what every student will experience from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then eventually work up. We just had a meeting at the high school yesterday to kind of continue how that might work. So while not all students can take the AVID elective, we are a school-wide designation AVID school. So that refers to the instructional practices that teachers would employ in a classroom. And it also refers to, for instance, today, all of the 8th grade went to the Career Expo at Napa County Office of Education. All 8th grade will go to Visa TUI and learn about the careers in the wine industry. And then 6th grade today was at the Exploratorium, which among other things are exploring careers in science. So there is a school-wide approach to the college and career awareness. I'm skimming on the top, but I can provide more information if you'd like another time. And then the instructional practices can be found throughout the academic areas. Yeah.
Thank you for clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll move on to 9B, Superintendent's Report. Dr. McClay.
Okay, I know I say each month that I'll be brief, but I really mean it tonight. I just have one update that's pretty short. I just wanted to give the board kind of an update, and for any community members watching, on our interdistrict agreement transfer process this year, because as you know, that's new. We've transitioned from a district of choice to what is referred to as the IDA model this year. The application window was open from January 2nd to February 12th. We received a total of 111 applications during that period. Of those, 71 were deemed complete because, as you know, there's quite a few more pieces to a complete application under the IDA model. I'm pleased to share that after a thorough review of every single one of those 71 candidates, as well as our numbers in each grade level and in each program, we will be offering acceptances to 43 of those applicants. There are still applications being considered. In fact, there are even applications being submitted as I speak here, because one of the tenets of the IDA process is that it's a rolling admission model. It's not a one and done. But those will be reviewed when and if space becomes available. One of the myths with IDA that I wanted to just, for any folks listening, is that we would be admitting more students. I know that that was kind of circulating around the community, but our board-adopted caps will protect us and really protect our small class sizes. We pride ourselves on those small class sizes and making sure that we aren't filling more spots than we can justify, and that we can be sure that we're meeting the needs of our students. So we're looking to not accept any more than we would have under the DOC model. It's very comparable. I do want to publicly thank our principals for giving of their time to assist in reviewing the applications. I want to publicly thank our Ed Services staff because they have really helped with the organization and the attention to detail of this entire process. And then I want to thank the parents who are watching for their patience. It took us a little bit longer than our original timeline, and that's because there was a lot to go through, and to be sure that if we were admitting students, we really had the space and we could in fact meet their needs. I'm happy to share that those acceptances will go out first thing tomorrow morning. It's already programmed to send at 8 a.m. for folks who are chomping at the bit and asking every day, but we feel really good about those applications and the process. I will say that next year, the one thing we're going to try to do is automate, or maybe call it kind of more of an electronic file, so that parents aren't having to email so many documents and say, have you received this? Could you open it? Was it, downloadable? Whereas if we can have kind of an e-file on each student, then the parent can, almost like a miniature Dropbox, drop all of their items in it, and then we would be automatically notified when that file is complete. We think that will speed up the process, but those acceptances will go out tomorrow morning.
Questions? I have one question. When will, I would like to know, of the 43 applications accepted, where we're seeing which grade levels those are at. I know we have some holes in our lower grades.
Yeah, I'm happy to share that with you. I can send that to you tomorrow. And then one thing I didn't mention in that is also new this year is we're giving folks 2 weeks to register.
Okay.
So once they're notified tomorrow morning, they'll have 2 complete weeks. We're going to go till the end of that Friday. I think it's the 27th. And then if they haven't registered by that point, we will go to the next person on the list and rescind that acceptance. And that's new for us, because in years past, we've accepted folks haven't ended up registering, and then others were quite sad that they couldn't get in. So.
Okay, thank you. 9C, Chief Business Official Budget Update, Dr. Vang.
Thank you. I have 3 items to update the board today. The first is the Marin Clean Energy Peak Flex program. This is a program that aims to reduce energy demand during critical evening hours. During these events, the district will be notified by MCE that this is happening, and our goal is to minimize our energy consumption during those events. When we do, the district earns financial incentives based on the energy reduction, and this usually happens between June and October. Recently, just last month, we were notified that we've received a payment of $486 for our participation in this last event. Overall, we've received about $3,000. And that may seem like a drop in the bucket, but $3,000 is still $3,000 that we can turn around and have Mike's department, maintenance department, utilize in purchasing the necessary supplies for their department to keep our facilities up and running. The second thing I wanted to update the board on is the assessment role. Recently, I was made aware that the Gallo set to close one of its production facilities, laying off workers. Upon hearing this, I did reach out to John Tudor to inquire about any potential impacts on the district's property taxes. John did inform me that he is working with his team to identify which vineyards and winery properties may qualify for a temporary decline in value as of January of this year. He is planning on sharing those findings in June, followed by a formal update during the July assessment roll. So I will continue to work closely with John and his team and provide an update to the board in the summer. The third item that I wanted to share with the board is our deferred maintenance, which is in Fund 14. If you recall, at the June 12th regular board meeting last year, you approved Resolution 24-41, authorizing annual $800,000 transfer from general fund to Fund 14 to address deferred maintenance projects. As you know, as a basic aid district, we receive our property taxes in two lump sums, one in December and then the other half in April. So strategically, I have transferred the $400,000 after, so our December property taxes came in January. I did transfer the $400,000 from general fund to Fund 14. And I will transfer the remaining $400,000 after we receive the April property taxes. And this is to ensure that we have cash, to ensure sufficient cash flow. I've also shared a document on the very last page of some of our defer maintenance projects. These are just some of the larger projects being funded with our defer maintenance funds. It's not a comprehensive list, but it does call out some of the larger projects that we are addressing. And one of those is the high school pool heaters. I did provide the board with a report on that. Heaters are done. We have new heaters. High school swim team and Waves has been using the pool, so we're really excited. And we want to thank the board for your commitment to allow us to continue to use these funds to address our deferred maintenance projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, trustees?
I just had a question. I know it's not up, but in the report, the third item of the items that were covered on the maintenance, why is one in red? Is that significant in any way?
It's in red because you've already approved this, you've already approved the quote. However, Mike and his team have scheduled this for spring break or thereafter because we want to make sure that we're not disrupting instruction. So once you approve it, then we work on the timing so that it's the least disruptive.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. We're going to move on to 9D, Superintendent Subcommittee Reports. Since our last board meeting, we've had 3 Superintendent Subcommittee reports, and we will start with the LCAP steering, and that is Trustee Mora and Trustee Wolf.
Just scrolling back to the pages. So this meeting, there are 3 topics. Well, we were just informed that the Song for Charlie was happening, Spanish, I think it was Spanish as the primary language, English subtitles or translations in the PAC on February 23rd, so that's already in the past. We also focused on Goal 3 for increasing educational partner engagement. And we looked at data measures that we have chosen to look at for how do we measure engagement and then how do we track progress. So basically we just kind of did a roundtable or in groups and did a whole bunch of sticky notes and asked questions, and is this a measure of engagement or is it not? Or what should we be looking at? And then calling out areas where it looked like the engagement was working, or maybe there are still gaps. So it was a whole bunch of sticky notes, and we always get the notes from it a month later, so I can't actually read them out to you.
Okay.
But that's what we covered. Okay. Anything else to add?
I agree. Age-old question talking about how to involve more parents. You know, how do you ever figure out the right time and coming up with different ideas of whether it's trying to get people to Zoom versus in person, what time and that. So always exploring ways we can involve as many people as we can in the community. And we did a lot of sticky notes. Mr. Heller, I don't remember all the sticky notes now.
We're everywhere. Okay, great, thank you. Next meeting was the Monrovia meeting, and this includes Dr. McClay and myself. We always write minutes for each meeting that we send out to the committee members, and starting this month, we are including those minutes for you to read, so I will move on to the next committee. Absolutely. The next committee was the Business Ops Subcommittee, and that was on March 4th with Trustee Wolf and Trustee Mora again.
Yes, I just wanted to, it was not a formal meeting of the BizOps group, but in previous board meetings, the SHTA president, Mark Lewisdorf, has asked to meet with the board to discuss salary formulas. And so what happened is on March 4th, we met with Brandon Farrell and Mark and Trustee Wolf and I were selected because we're on the Business Ops Committee, and that's where we discuss finances. So we were the two that were assigned. And I just wanted to report back, so the goal of the meeting was to ensure that the trustee representatives understood the history and the evolution of the salary formula that has been used on and off through the years. And so we just wanted to thank both of them for coming and meeting with us to share the history. That was all.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any questions about superintendent subcommittee reports? Okay. We will move on to 9E, the St. Helena Teachers Association report to the board, and I would like to call on Mr. Blasingame.
Good evening. I'm standing in for Mr. L. He's at a swim meet in Fort Bragg. Beautiful day for a drive to the coast. First, I put a call out to our representatives at the different sites for a little report, so my apologies if I steal some of your stuff or repeat it or steal some of your guys' stuff. At the primary school, they started off the month with a great assembly full of drumming and dancing with the Onye African drummer group. Sounds like it was a lot of fun. I'm sorry I missed that. And they just finished up 2 days of parent-teacher spring conferences, and the second trimester report cards are going out this Friday. At the elementary school, teachers and students are getting ready for a Maker's Mart, which will be on May 13th at the open house, and a percentage of the profits will go to Give Big. Teachers held spring conferences this week for some of the students, and there's a 3rd and 4th grade music concert on March 18th. At the RLS, Mike Thompson spoke with the 8th graders. The 6th graders have a field trip to the Exploratorium, and at the end of February, they had a Winter Olympics themed rally where apparently there was a curling event, and I've heard nothing about any double touch violations. So that's good. Speaking of rallies, we have a rally at the high school tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day themed rally. It's also going to be the annual basketball game between teachers and students. And I'm kind of excited about it this year because it's not going to involve running. We don't have to chase teenagers up and down the court. It's going to be, kind of a positional, just shooting competition. So the teachers might have a chance. All right. For the next stuff, I do want to address this refrain we've heard from district officials that tax revenue is going down or that there's projections for decreased property tax revenue. It's not true. Even in the depths of the Great Recession, we had a positive property tax revenue. In 2010 and 11, it was plus 2.28%, 11 and 12, 2.61%, 12 and 13, 5.11%, 13 and 14, 5.84, 14 and 15, 4.81, 15 and 16, 6.49, 16 and 17, 4.45, 17 and 18, 9.57. That was a good year. 18 and 19, 7.32, 19 and 20, 7.64, 20 and 21, 3.8, 21 and 22, 2.5, 22 and 23, 4.82, 23 and 24, 6.95, 24 and 25, 5.12, and the P1 now is 3.92, positive across the board. Our CBO's budget update highlighted a Gallo article about the Gallo layoffs. I'd like to remind the board that John Tudor, in his presentation here, emphasized that residential housing is what drives revenue in this district, not wineries. It's over 80% of our revenue, or about 80%. I think there was another article in the Star that's of interest. It was on March 5th, the Register was on March 5th. The headline was "Nearly half of California teachers may quit in the next decade." The article noted that low teacher morale directly affects students, whereas high morale creates a positive environment that helps students enjoy learning. Our union's already on the record about these RIFs under consideration as not being in the student interest. They affect teacher morale, and I think we need to consider that as far as how we can best serve our students. The St. Helena teachers, we're on the record that we don't think a counseling position should be eliminated, but I want to emphasize that the teachers also stand with our secretaries and classified staff. Our secretaries are the glue that hold this district together. And I don't know what we would do without our custodians. Did you know that going back to COVID, our custodians clean each individual student desk every day? I've often wondered how many kids haven't gotten sick because of that work. How many kids are in school learning because of their work? Dave Perry can't be here tonight because he's working his second job so he can afford to live here. But I want him to know that we stand with him, that we think these RIFs across the board are not in the student interest. And we urge the board to keep student interests above that of buildings. Thank you.
And do we, Mr. Blasingame shared that Mr. Perry is not here. Do we have another representative that would also like to say something for CSEA? No? Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to 9G through J, and these are our written reports from site principals. And as always, we appreciate you compiling those for us and highlighting student achievement and parent participation. So thank you. We're going to move on to business operations, 10A, approval of school-connected organizations per board policy, 1230, school-connected organizations. And I would like to call on Dr. Vang.
Thank you, President Simon. I'm excited to share that this is the last of our school-connected organization application. This is from the St. Helena High School Ag Booster. They've submitted their complete application. I've reviewed it. If you recall, per our board policy 1230, school-connected organizations, this year we have implemented a We are enforcing this board policy by ensuring that all our school-connected organizations provide us with their booster or club information so that you as the board, because you've authorized them to exist on behalf of our students, to fundraise on behalf of our students, that they are in alignment with our board policy. So again, I'm excited to share that this is the last of the School Connect organizations, and this completes all of our groups for this year. Thank you.
Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? Excuse me. Is there a motion to approve school-connected organizations per board policy 1230, school-connected organizations as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay. 10B, approval of contracts over 25,000. Dr. Vang.
For this item, we have one contract. It's with All County Flooring to remove and completely replace the high school kitchen flooring, which has reached its end of life. The temporary matting at the entries is no longer sufficient. We've done our best to mitigate this flooring, and we are at a point now when we can no longer kick the can down the road, so we will need to do a complete replacement of the floor. Mike, our facilities director, is working with his team and with Principal Cento, and if approved, this will be part of our summer project. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
My question is quick. Is it the full kitchen and kind of cafeteria or just the kitchen area?
Just the actual serving space, the kitchen, not the kitchen, but the actual space right beneath us.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, is there a motion to approve contracts over $25,000 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, we're going to move on to 10D. Public hearing and approval of the developer fee justification study and resolution 25-26 in the matter of increasing school facility fees as authorized by Government Code Section 65995B3. The public hearing for the developer fee justification study and resolution 25-26 in the matter of increasing school facility fees is now open at, sorry, I cannot see.
8:11.
Thank you, 8:11 p.m. During the public hearing, comments should be limited to the developer fee justification study and increase in facility fees. It is our goal to hear from all who wish to be heard. We now invite audience members to address the Board of Trustees on the developer fee justification study and increase in facility fees. Public hearing is now closed at 8:12 p.m. Do the trustees have any questions about the matter of increasing school facility fees? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 25-26 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hanson will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye, motion carried. Moving on to 10E, review and consider approval of the 25-26 second interim report, and I would like to call on Dr. Vang.
Thank you, President Pelosi. I was going to say Pelosi, Simon, thank you. It's not quite 10 o'clock yet. All right, so today I'll be sharing my second interim financial report. Please, thank you. Oh, moving too fast now. All right, so the second interim, the information that's included in the second interim reflects the state-approved budget along with the local control funding formula. Please keep in mind that the budget is the best estimate at any given time, so I'm working with the information that I've been provided by the state for local control funding formula. And you can see there on the bottom our timeline. We did our first interim back in December. We're at our second interim. I'll be working on next year's budget next month, and I'll come back to you. So it's a cycle that you're all pretty much aware of. These are the key assumptions used in the second interim report. I do want to draw your attention to the second row regarding property taxes. You'll notice that for the out years for second interim, the revenue the property tax growth assumption is at a 0% compared to at first interim when it was at a 2% increase. And that is due to the fact that when John Tudor, Josh, and Kelly from Napa County Office of Ed were here in January presenting, that was their recommendation. It is a conservative assumption, but it is easier to pivot when you have money to work with and rather than money that you don't have to work with. So on the second slide, next slide here, we're looking at key assumptions again. As you're all aware of, we've settled all negotiations for this year. Jamie has done a great job paying out all the retros. They've been processed for this school year. We have not started negotiations for the out year, so those will be to be determined. The steps column, everything else here, you've seen this before. There aren't any significant changes to the assumptions for the second interim. When comparing the second interim to the first interim and looking at the LCFF revenue, you'll notice again, because of the 0% property tax increase for second interim, the out years show a flat property taxes rather than a growth. And the reason for that is, again, we've been advised to use a 0% revenue growth for property taxes. Also, my first year here, property taxes compared to the prior year at a 6.95%, as you heard earlier. And my second year in 24-25, it was a 5.12% increase. And this year, we're at a 3.92% increase. So yes, we are seeing an increase, but it's a lesser increase, so we have to be conservative. In looking at our federal and state revenue, there aren't any significant changes to either of these revenues. Salaries and benefits account for approximately 84% of the total unrestricted expenditures, as you can see here, not only in the current year, but also in the out years. General fund contributions to restricted programs. These are what I call the unfunded mandates. So these restricted programs should be self-sustaining, meaning that expenditures should match revenues. However, we know that that is not the case, and therefore we have to make a contribution from our general fund to these restricted programs so that we can actually maintain these programs. These two programs include routine maintenance and special education, and these are the projected contributions from general fund to these programs. Here is our multi-year projection, which is the best guess of the district's income, earnings, and checks that the district will be writing this year and the two out years. And I do apologize that on the column where it should say second interim expenditures, it says revenue. So that really should read expenditures. So you've got revenues on the top, expenditures, increase in or decrease in fund balance with the ending fund balance, economic uncertainty. We are always meeting our 3%, but as you know, 3% doesn't get us very far. So again, I want to thank the board for being proactive and having two reserves in place, reserve policies in place. You are probably wondering why the large decrease in our fund balance in the second interim. That's due to the fact that I've journaled the $2.5 million from general fund into Fund 40 to address our capital improvement projects. That's the new terminology now. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we've settled all negotiations for this year. So what you're seeing here is also the increases from those settled negotiations. So overall, when comparing first interim to second interim, you'll see a decrease in our projected reserve, not only for this year, but also for the out years. And again, I just want to remind the board, 3%, a 3% reserve is about 2 weeks worth of salary, 17% is about 2 months. Fund balance protects not only programs, but employees. So it's critical that, especially as a basic aid district, that we have healthy reserves. Cash flow projections show positive monthly cash balances for this school year. At the beginning of this year, we came into this school year with a $17.4 million in our cash balance. At first interim, it was projected at 15.6, but with what I just shared earlier, our projected cash balance for this school year is $13.5 million. Our ending cash balance will then become next year's beginning cash balance. When you have cash, you have options, and I do want to draw your attention to that small little table on the bottom. Again, as a basic aid district, I've said this before, we get our property taxes received in December and April, and you'll notice that in November, where our cash is, I have to closely monitor our cash because there have been some years when we've been low, and it is projected that if we do end if our ending cash for this year is 13.5, that by this November 2026 for the following school year, our projected cash will be lower. So we will have to make dues with the 13.5 million until the December property taxes for next school year kicks in. Next steps, if the board approves the second interim report, it will then be submitted to the County Office of Ed, which will then go to the California Department of Ed. Additionally, this month, I will be attending the SF Square Spring Symposium, which is geared for community funded districts, I can't even talk anymore, like ours, because it's all things related to basic aid districts and finances for basic aid districts. Additionally, between now and the end of this year, I'll be working closely with Mrs. Romo Flores on our local control accountability LCAP, and then the original budget, which will come back to you for a public hearing in May, and then hopefully a board adoption in June for the following school year. In between, we'll also have the May revision, which will then provide me with an update from the governor's budget. And with that concludes my second interim report. Are there questions?
Is there anyone who would like to publicly comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
I have more of a clarification, if I could. Whether it's been from public comment over a couple of months, if it's community talk. We've always talked about us as a community-funded district that it's usually anywhere between 80 to 85% of our budget is people. Mm-hmm. It's salaries and benefits. It's now saying 84.1, correct?
Yes.
As goes that. So that means, just always important to remember, so that means 16 cents of every dollar is paying for everything else. So when there's this belief that there's money to do everything, there's not money to do everything. And that's why we work hard to prioritize, because 16 cents does not go very far on the dollar to take care of what we need to take care of. That's lights, that's curriculum, that's sports, that's all those other kind of things. So I just feel like it's always an important clarification that's needed, because I think even recently there was a public comment that, that our percentage was not out of line, but it is high. It is high mm-hmm. for a state average. And when you think about it in literal terms, it's not very much money that's going to everything else. So I just think it's important that as a board, we keep that in mind as we talk about budgets. So.
Thank you for reiterating that, because I actually have that in my notes. Just to reiterate that we can do some things, but we can't do all things. So we have to continue to prioritize our expenditures to ensure the district's fiscal solvency.
Trustee Pelosi, I appreciate the reminder, and I want to keep continuing with that reminder. I want to know if there's a way where we could share that very important reminder with our community, to how we can share that out. I think it's always important to understand that.
So we are launching a new page on the website. It should go live early next week. Staff's been working on it the last few days intensely, and it will share user-friendly, reader-friendly school budget 101 types of graphs and charts with information just like you're asking.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And I want to just reiterate that the people part is uber important in this industry. I'm not trying to discount that at all. I want to make sure that that message comes across. I'm just saying, when you look at a budgeting from a budgeting perspective, that's something we have to always keep as a model in our brain as we work through the numbers.
We have to look at the whole
Because,
picture.
I mean, we are in a people business, so I don't want to,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to downplay that whatsoever.
No, there's no doubt we are very grateful for every person that contributes to this district. We have to just look at the whole picture. Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the 2025-26 second interim report as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes, I would.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Hanson will conduct a roll. That does not feel right.
Yeah, I think it's just go ahead and.
Just normal.
Okay, just going to go ahead with the norm. Give me 1 second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, we are going to move on to 12A, consideration of approval for the flag football program at St. Helena High School. Dr. McClay.
Apologies. Could we just ask for clarification on that last item? Neither of us got who made the motion for 10E. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, this next one is, I think, pretty easy and straightforward. You don't need a lot of information from me, although we do have the items that were presented to you 2 meetings ago, and that is in regard to the flag football request to start that team in the 2026-27 school year. The one suggestion I would make after speaking with a couple of you is that you may want to put a maximum contribution for the first year, because it is, and it was, a difficult number to arrive at. So if the board is concerned about finances, you could very easily amend the motion to a maximum of a certain amount. Okay.
Anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? You know, in the past, we discussed, I remember seeing 30,000 as a recommendation for this. So I'm suggesting that that be our maximum. How do we feel about that?
I'm going to propose a maximum of $25,000. That was my thinking. I think it's a first year. It's a first year. We are trying to be fiscally responsible, and I do think if it's a program that's successful, and we can increase a contribution, but we don't know what it looks like in the first year. Okay. And I think some of the numbers that we were provided may not exactly hit those marks. So I would make a motion to approve flag football with a maximum cap of $25,000.
I have a question about the 30K real quick. Is that, looking at other sports, like comparing to girls basketball, what is their price, and does that include JV and varsity? I know this is going to be one team and not two.
So I would need to defer to Mr. Sento or Dr. Vang on how much we typically would spend on a sport.
Okay.
That I don't know. Thank you, Mr. Sento.
I'll do my best. I don't have numbers in front of me, but all sports are very different. We've developed a cycle with the district in terms of purchasing uniforms. Like obviously a sport like football is going to be very expensive when you're talking helmets and pads. I would say this is a bargain from a sports perspective, and all the materials, like the estimates that Mr. Farrell and I worked on were pretty basic at that time. And I would say, and I know, just so you know, from a contribution standpoint, there's great community interest to help fund this in the first year. I would wager we wouldn't even come close to that $25,000 mark. So I know Mr. Farrell's been garnering fiscal support for this in anticipation of the approval tonight. So I don't know if any district dollars will be used.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can add to that, that for this year, football uniforms are budgeted at 30,000, volleyball's at 3,000, cheerleading's a little over 6,000. So sports for this year in terms of their uniform rotation is about 39,000.
We came up with the 5-year cycle years ago because we want to make sure that we provide all the things that are essential for the sport, not the extras on top of. But yeah. It
So I would-
ebbs and flows.
And I would just add that Mr. Farrell's proposal that the high school presented was inclusive of all costs, not just uniforms, but it was coaching and transportation, everything, correct?
So would 25 feel like
Plenty.
would be plenty? Okay. Okay.
And so what happens if they only spend 5? Does that money come back to the district? Does that go to a little pool at the high school? I haven't encountered this as a board member, so I'm not sure how that works. Someone can clarify.
So I will work closely with Charlene, who manages with Mr. Sentil the high school budget and everything related to the high school. If it's not spent, it comes right back. It stays in our pot. It cannot be turned around because that money will be set aside specifically for flag football. If it's not used, it stays there, and it cannot get journaled or transfer to another account line.
Okay.
Would we be able to continue it in flag football then, if it's not all spent for the following year? Yes, okay, that's what you were saying. Okay, perfect.
As a budget
Right.
assumption and.
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
So
perfect.
it would be built in going
Exactly.
forward.
Okay.
And is there any type of is this a time okay, we'll do it for a year and see what happens, or are we just committing this? Are there any are there any restrictions that we place on that money?
My feeling
how
is
it
no.
is.
I mean, it seems like not only do we have site buy-in, we have board buy-in, we have student buy-in, most importantly.
Community buy-in?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Cinta, I don't think that it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a board will say, we're only doing this for 1 year, and then, if we are agreeing to support this program, we're going to agree to support it until Mr. Cinta comes back and says there's no more interest in flag football, I would imagine. Would you agree with that, Dr. McClay?
No, I would agree with that. And obviously for the first year, we'll monitor it. We want to make sure we have enough students and whatnot. But I think it impairs the program development a little bit, particularly with students, because oftentimes we're competing for the same students. So, a student might even not be as interested to join if they think it's only a 1-year thing.
Right.
So I would advise, they've shown you the data with how much this interest is and how much this particular sport is kind of bursting all over the state. So I think if we do it, we're all in, and then we would come back to you if for some reason, or it would just fade away if there was no interest.
I think also Brandon Farrell came to the Saints Athletic Association board meeting last night, and he was saying that since we are talking about it, I think 2 other schools in Napa are joining, so there's even local schools that we're going to play. So, and I believe it's the fastest growing sport in high schools across the U.S.
And that's what I was going to comment on. If anything, we would want to just continue to grow it, because I think it's important I know for me, that there's as many young ladies can participate in this as possible. That's manageable.
Yeah.
I think
We're excited.
will we get some type of review then after a year? And I think the concern has always been spreading our kids out in sports. And I think I was telling you several years ago, they talked about lacrosse. My daughter played a club team, and they were like, we can't take another sport because we just don't have enough kids between theater and sports. So that would be my concern. Are we starting, this program is going to be strong, and it hurts, just sports in general, enough kids to play all these different teams. So can we ask as part of our motion that we receive a report on how it's affected other sports, how it's happening?
Yeah, and if you recall, every year we submit a CIF report where all of the numbers that Mr. Farrell provided, I mean, the reason we're situating it in the fall is because that's where there's availability. As you know, volleyball is a highly competitive sport for females, and we make cuts in volleyball. So we anticipate, and we worked with Mr. Ryan. I think we shared this at the 2 months ago. You know, the interest even garnered from RLS. I reached out to Howell Mountain and Polk Valley to see the interest there. So I think it's going to be sustainable in the right place, given we have football. I mean, we have great numbers in cross country, but this is going to be another avenue for female athletes to get. And I'm excited it's in the fall because it's, kids coming into the high school, being able to participate and get connected to school in a different way at the very beginning will hopefully pay dividends in the future.
And Trustee Wolf, remember, just like tonight, we got a recap on winter sports. So when we get a fall sports, spring sports, we'll get the information on enrollment, the numbers, conference leagues and things like that. So that will be our way of seeing, are the dollars making a difference? Okay. So, I mean, I would think that that's going to be added into the report.
Yep.
Or ask that it would be.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the flag football program at St. Helena Unified School District with a maximum of $25,000 budget as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried.
Go Saints.
Go
it's gonna be
Saints.
great.
Very exciting. 13, consent agenda. The consent agenda contains routine items judged as appropriate to be acted upon in one motion. If a board member requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda, the item will be considered under discussion action items. Is there anyone present who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
I do not, no.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the contract agenda with the exception of 13G as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, 14A, future.
I'm sorry, can I just go, something doesn't feel right about that because we're only pulling one contract under.
Have to go back and do G.
Don't we have to do
About it.
G separately?
I think we're okay because you said as it was presented when we talked about approving the agenda.
Okay.
So if you want to do it again, just to be safe,
No,
we can.
I just want to make sure because there's multiple contracts
Exactly.
in that item. So, but if we think I just want to make sure that we're following protocol and process.
When I requested at the beginning of the meeting to make a change, I think it was clear
Okay.
that we are just pulling one contract. So we're going from 7 contracts to 6
Okay.
in letter G.
Great, thank you so much.
No,
Sorry
thank
about
you.
that, President
I'm
Simon.
glad we're all, it's late.
Glad for the clarification.
We also didn't have the recording when we first did that.
But
So
we've got
it's just
minutes,
useful.
so,
I know,
yeah.
that's why.
14A, future agenda items. Does any of the trustees have subjects for future agenda items?
President Simon, I don't, but I would like to just provide a comment, if I may. This is one of the things that is permissible with public comment is clarification. We're not allowed to engage in question and answer, but I feel a clarification is needed based on one of the public comments we received earlier this evening. There was a statement that there was public information posted on social media. I'm assuming that some kind of plan information is out there in the community. And I would like to clarify that no one on this governing board has posted such information as to what this plan might be. And I think it would be naive of any of us to think that that was nothing but hearsay or hypotheticals unless it was authored by somebody from the district or the governing board.
Right.
So that is my clarification on public comment.
Thank you, Trustee Pelosi. Any other?
I'm good.
No? We're all good. Okay, wonderful. We'll go to 15A, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes, I would.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Meeting ended at 8:40. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
I hope it was okay.